So I'll turn off the video. I think there is actually is bad. So I'll turn off the video. Okay, class, welcome back, and we'll be resuming our lectures on literature on our research methods course. And today we'll be talking about literature review. And many of you would have done some kind of literature review in your bachelor's as well. And hopefully you have been going through some doing some different courses in this courses in our department, and in those department you might have got different assignments, different projects, and for that you might have done a literature review. So the literature review in the truest sense is more or less same, that you are going to be researching for some kind of relevant literature to your research, and then probably you'll try to find gap from that. Now, literature review in generic it seems like a very easy thing to do. Just you just need to search something on the internet, and then uh, extract relevant material or arguments which can support your work, or which can like uh, kind of argue with your, like, it can be positive or negative as well. So it might be supporting or it might be negating, but you need to justify your research based on the balance of both approaches. Like, you can't only refer the literature which is supporting your research. So now that I know that is a very difficult thing to do, that if someone is critiquing your research methodology or any part of your research, and that is very problematic. But you need to be unbiased about it, and you need to present both sides of the pictures. Like some people have said that uh, this was uh, maybe this was done by someone already, but their results are different than others. So what happens mostly is that literature review is a very continuous process. So in introduction, let's talk about you're writing your introduction chapter. That would ultimately also need a literature review. Okay, chapter 2 is basically itself is a literature review. Okay, chapter 3, methodology. So the chapter 3 in your thesis research methodology, that also require a substantial amount of literature review. That what sort of methodologies have already been adopted by the literature. So you're doing literature review at methodology level as well. Okay, that's chapter 4, chapter 5, and then comes your result analysis. And when you're analyze everything and presenting your research, you're presenting your analysis, your final results, your findings. But then again, you need to support your findings, that is my results or findings are in accordance with the research of that person and that person. Rana found that this was okay, this was also like this, and my research also supported that this phenomenon happens like this in case of Pakistan. But on the other hand, my research analysis was against the works of Wahid, Wahid 2020, right? So that is how you do a literature review. And sometimes, it's difficult to do literature review because students assume that just searching for a literature and coming up with the relevant literature and just citing those literature is literature review. Literature review is not that. It is in-depth analysis as well. So let's have some. I'll have a brief introduction about what is literature review and how to do that. So I'll give you some tips and tricks of the trade. So the literature review, especially in case of your this research level work, your literature review is often compiled from only from the published information in a particular area and a subject, right? It summarizes all the sources and provides a synthesis. So providing a summary, you have downloaded 10, 15 papers. You've read 10, 15 papers. Now you need to provide a summary for it. Just read it and just think about it, that what they have done and how you will now synthesize all the information in 1 or 2 paragraphs. That's it. That is literature. So what is it do? What is the process of reviewing? Okay, first of all, you need to research for the relevant literature. First, you need to search for the relevant literature. Then you need to prioritize, need to let's say catalog your literature. A lot of papers, according you have doing a research on something. Let's talk about sustainable tourism. Let's say so sustainable tourism. So there's a lot of literature out there. So you need to limit yourself. You need to say, okay, these papers are important. These are I will not be reading, or okay, I have read it, but it's not so important, or it does not pertain to my own work. So these 10, 50, top 100 papers I've read, okay, these are 20 are the top one. These are the next 10, next 10, next 10. So you need to prioritize that, and then start reading the papers. So of course, you have given some kind of exercises in other courses as well, in which you will be analyzing the papers. So for the subject, one paper or two paper is you seem it's difficult for you, right? But when in a research phase, you need to read dozens of papers. You need to read so many different papers. So you need to know how to read a paper, how to analytically read a paper, how to understand it, right? So that needs to be very great. So you need to evaluate the papers that, okay, these are the important ones. These are the very good methodology. This was used by, this one is a very robust methodology, very solid methodology. Maybe I can use this methodology. Okay. So you need to evaluate them themselves and then compare. Okay. In 2020, this study was conducted. In 2021, this study was conducted. Both was conducted on the same topics, but they had different findings, maybe the same findings, or maybe there is no there is the some findings are matching and some findings are not matching. So it cannot go either way. So comparison of those studies is very important. You download 20 papers, so you need to compare them as well. What are the differences between them? The same topic, same process, but different methodology, different statistical analysis. Why is it so? You need to compare those. You need to find out, and then maybe organizing it, summarizing it, and uh, uh, by extracting the relevant information, then organizing it in a proper manner, and then actually writing the review. So that is a very important and again difficult part of your research. So anyone tell me what are the sources of literature in research? What should we research, and what literature should be researched or should be researched? What are the possible potential sources of literature for your research? Anyone?
Sir,
Uh, uh, yes, Rida, please.
सर ई लाइब्रेरीज होते हैं, उसके अलावा सर न्यूज़पेपर्स में मतलब कोई पब्लिश हुए हो आर्टिकल्स वगैरह, वो हम देख सकते हैं। मतलब जो पब्लिश चीज होती है उसको हम यूज मतलब करते हैं इसमें कि हमने वही हम सिर्फ पब्लिश यूज कर। जी जी
Okay, e-libraries, and you used the word newspapers published. Okay, yes, Salia, please.
सर आपकी कॉन्फ्रेंस प्रोसीडिंग पेपर्स जो होते हैं या रिसर्च आर्टिकल्स होते हैं या जर्नल्स जो आपके वेल एस्टैब्लिश्ड जर्नल्स होते हैं, उनमें आप देख सकते हैं।
Okay, okay, great. Yes, very good point. So yes, so more or less you might have noticed. So the first and most foremost, you can say most authentic source is your journal articles, and not just simple journal articles, peer-reviewed journal articles. Anyone who knows what is peer-reviewed journals? What is peer-reviewed journals? Yes, Alia?
सर जैसे कुछ जर्नल्स होते हैं उसमें आप सिर्फ पे करते हैं और आपकी पब्लिकेशन के लिए चल जाता है, बट पीयर रिव्यू वो होते हैं जिसमें आप पहले सेंड करते हैं तो दे टेल यू असेस करते हैं विदाउट आपका नेम या कोई हाईलाइट किए बगैर, पीपल रीड इट जिन्होंने काम किया हुआ होता है उस टॉपिक्स के ऊपर, एंड देन दे गिव यू अ रिव्यू कि आपके इसमें क्या चीज कमी है, क्या रहती है, एंड इफ इट्स नॉट सूटेबल तो देन दे टेल यू कि क्या चीज नहीं थी इसमें, कि आपकी लिटरेचर मिसिंग थी या थ्योरेटिकल फ्रेमवर्क वाज नॉट दैट गुड, तो देन यू डू इट अगेन और आप उसमें पे काम करते हैं, देन इट गोज बैक एंड देन इट गेट्स पब्लिश। तो उसमें ये होता है कि एक क्योंकि लोगों ने असेस किया होता है तो तब इट गेट्स बेटर.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Precisely. So peer-reviewed articles are one of the most solid, one of the most valued and uh, authenticated published work. So peer review is, of course, when will go into the paper writing lecture, and then I'll describe in detail what is peer review process, and we'll go into it later. Yes, so peer reviewed scientific analysis are more authentic, and that should be cited. If someone asks you that what should you cite, so my main suggestion to student is get a citation or a reference from published work. So that will really support your research as well. Other is your published books, and these are very good published book, theses, and dissertations. So in the e-libraries, a lot of published books and theses are available. Then you publish international or governmental reports. You need to refer, sometimes you need to get some data which is not available in the books or the peer-reviewed journal article, especially in case of Pakistan, when talking about we need some data. So that's not available in research papers on published books. So you only need to go and refer to the reports. And certain times, government reports serve as the first source of literature. Depending upon your type of research, even your government reports can serve as the primary source of your literature. So it all depends upon your research. Then, of course, your conference papers, published conference papers, newspapers, website, and blogs. Of course, websites and blogs can be published. Sometimes what happen is you are referring to a blog or a website by some person, and that is not set, that it's not viewed. It's not a good way to cite something. But what happens? That blog is written by some professor who has 20, 40, 50 years of expertise in a particular topic. That blog is sometimes prioritized over newspapers or conference papers even. So it all depends upon the person who is writing the blog. So of course, yes, you can also cite websites and blogs as well. But this is just a general, I would say, uh, key with respect to importance or authenticity. Okay, how do you assess it? You need to assess, uh, is your journal article which you are, is it refereed, is it peer reviewed or not, right? Are these sufficient source of information or not? Sometimes you need to even judge the quality. Sometimes good papers are published, but you can guess that this work is not so authentic, although it's published in a referred journal article. But I don't think this is a very good paper. Alternatively, this paper, which worked on the same topic, this seems like more good quality paper. So you can with time, I would say, you can easily judge, or you can easily evaluate that one paper is paper quality is better than the other. So that's it. Sometimes you need to know that author, what is the who is the author of that particular paper? Is it a government person? And of course, some biases might be reflected in that particular paper. Is it academic? It is journalist. So you can have an evaluation of that as well. Okay. Uh, so what do you need to do literature review for? So first of all, again, coming back to the basics, the conceptual frameworks and that your hypothesis. So you need to know about the clarification of concepts. You always go refer to the literature. What are the current understanding of the concepts? Okay, you need to know about that. Then maybe literature can help you narrow your topic, and and of course support what is the significance of your work. So it provides some kind of justification that this research should be done, because maybe a lot of papers have referred in their future research directions that this sort of research can be done. So you can just cite those particular references and saying a lot of people have endorsed that this research should be conducted. Therefore, I'm doing this research. So it's kind of providing some justification. Okay, conceptual understandings, again, terminology sometimes specific words. So instead of concept, specific word definitions you might need to know. So you need to know some different methodologies, techniques, and data sets, what sort of data they have used. Then you need to focus at what sort of, based on these different methodologies or understandings, you need to redefine your focus and then construct a problem statements. that this is I'm going to be doing it. Okay. Uh, so there are a lot of different types of uh, why research version literature review is important. So of course, case studies and its applications are important, and that and so if you're doing an empirical study, on ground study, you need to refer to the literature that these type of case studies have already been done, right? And if they've already been done, then you don't need to replicate it, right? So maybe if that's case study where they have stopped their research, you might start the research from where they have ended. So what usually happen is that a lot of research in Pakistani universities, what they do is they write a research thesis, and that's just shelved in the library. It's in the library, and some people read it or some do not read it. Another students come and they say that I want to do want to do a research on that, and they say and their teacher say no, that research has already been conducted, so you don't need to do that research. But that student does not know that research is already been conducted because it's not available on the internet. It's not available as a paper. So if you publish your research, that is really helpful for all of us. There is no I would say scarcity of research in Pakistan, but there is a scarcity of published research in Pakistan. If my research on Pakistan has already been published as a paper, then I would just read the paper and then I will continue the research. But unfortunately, in case of Pakistan, a lot of researches or that reports they're just printed and put in the library, and that's just getting dust in collecting dust in the offices or in the libraries. So I would suggest all that for a potential benefit of the for the larger or the greater good, you need just think about publishing your research, and because that will really help the future research aspirants um, or PhD students. They will just quote your research and they will continue doing research on your topic. So that's so yes, the main point of literature review is that you need to know about that what sort of research is already being conducted in Pakistan. Let's say it's already been conducted, and you should not try to duplicate it. So that's one of the that is why we do literature review. And the literature review sometimes really help you in pointing out the what are the future ways of research, and you can just quote that particular sentence from the previous researches and maybe start doing research on that topic. Okay. And if you publish in literature review, you need to know that if you do this research, will it be published or not? So literature review can also help you in that. And for the foremost purpose of literature review is to find the gap. That I want to do research on this topic, and I've been doing research. I'm doing literature review. I'm searching for the literature, but I could not find it on this particular point, on this particular angle, or this particular from this particular approach. So that is your gap. And I must say that that is again a very difficult task to do because a lot of research has already been published at the master's level at least. Uh, you are doing the research, and research gap is not that important as much as at the doctoral level, because at master level you're doing a research at your country national level, and you're reviewing it research at your regional level that maybe okay, this research can be conducted in case of Pakistan, but in doctoral studies you need to produce a research which will be applicable globally. Okay, so that gap will be more difficult. But how it's not difficult to find gaps, by the way. So to find actual gaps, all you need to do is have a good grip on the literature. The more you read, the more you know that there are a lot of things you don't know. So you need to start reading. So that's one of the basic aim, that start reading, and that will really understand. And that would also this same thing I would also say to the professional planners as well, that once they leave their bachelor's or master's, they do not keep up with the research. So if you're not keeping up with the research, you'll be left behind. So that's another way to I would suggest that please do keep reading to understand that where your field of study has now taken off and what you're thinking, it's not like that, and it has maybe evolved into something very much different. So think about that as well. Okay. So any question till now, by the way? Any question, class? Okay. So what are the steps of conducting literature? Well, it's a very simple, very again subjective thing. So everyone has their own way of doing the research. So you need to plan that, okay, I need to do research, maybe read it. Everyone has their own reading speeds, reading styles, or researching or taking notes. Analyze that, prepare a draft, and then revise it. So literature review needs a lot of revision. You just write it first, and you said, okay, this was study was only conducted by Rana 2020, and then you later on in your analysis phase you find out that another research has already been published now. Then you need to revisit your original draft, and then you need to say, okay, Rana 2020 and Wahi 2021 publish a research. So you need to keep revising it, keep updating it. So what also happens to some student is that they do the literature review in let's say January, and they go for data analysis, data sorry collection. They come back and they write data analysis, and then maybe they start writing a paper in September, October. They finish the data analysis, and then they start writing their thesis or their paper. And then next January arrives, and what students do that they are quoting the date or the literature from the last January, but now they have omitted one whole year, and one whole year data is missing, one whole literature is missing. So once they write a paper, that is straight away rejected, saying that you have not quoted or cited latest literature on the same topic. So you need to keep update your thesis or your paper with the continuous evolution of the papers which are already published now. I mean, I don't know. I cannot even imagine how many papers are published each day nowadays. So there are a lot of information out there. So you need to keep revising it to keep your paper or your thesis up to date. Okay, again, select the. Yes, please.
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask. So ये जो आप कह रहे हैं कि you have to keep updating the literature, इसमें जैसे हम citations देते हैं, आप उसकी बात कर रहे हैं कि हमें सबसे जो latest citation होती है वो ही देनी होती है. हम like अगर if जैसे हमारी literature जो है वो concern करती है about कोई past कोई data को, तो we can't like हम उसको use कर सकते हैं ना. जरूरी तो नहीं होता कि मतलब पुरानी हम अगर 1994 की let's say या 2004 की या 2012 की literature का कोई citation देनी है, तो can we use that? We can, right?
Okay, yes, a very good point, Salia. So I think I may have implied something different, but yes, you are right. Sometimes certain concepts, certain I would say, yes, certain concepts or phenomena, the definitions that is given maybe in the 90s or 80s. The technology of, let's say, this touch screen, let's say, talking about this, what they call it, synoptic, something, I don't know, haptic, sorry, yes, haptic feedback. Let's say haptic feedback. You touch it and you feel that it vibrates. So that is called haptic feedback. So that technology was, you say that, okay, that haptic technology is now maybe in the 2020 or maybe 2010, it came in the world, after 2000 it evolved. But that technology was written or thought in 1970s. Okay, so you need to, of course, sometime cite that your that thing was introduced in the 1970, and then you refer that 1970 in the bracket. So yes, you're right that it's not only that you need to refer recent literature. Sometimes you need to go back to the original research as well. But what I'm trying to say is, we are talking about that, okay, once you have conducted a research 1 year back, and then you start writing a paper, and that literature is basically missing a very significant portion. Okay, I would say like this. In January 2021, you are doing a literature review, of course, and in 2021, you won't be doing literature review 2021. You will be doing literature review of 2018 and 2019, because 2020 some more or less will not be published till now. Okay, so you will be conducted up to 2019, 2018. And when you're writing a paper, then there's a gap, usually 3-4 years gap. When you're writing after 1 year, you're going to be writing a paper, and you are writing a paper in 2022, but you're citing a literature that the later research was done in 2019, this one in the bracket. So that really says that, okay, 2 or 3 years have been missing in your literature review. So that is a common comment by the paper reviewers or your committee members, that you're not referred recent literature as well. But that does not mean, Salia, that you cannot quote original or a very old citation. So that's also true. Yeah, any other question? That was a very good question, Salia. Any other question? Okay. So there is again a generic 6-step process in which you know a literature, you know a topic, you search for the literature, you develop an argument, you support the argument, you survey the literature, speak on the literature, and then write your own review. So that's the most important part. Student can assemble, organize up till level 4, I would say. Student can easily assemble, organize, analyze the data. But critique, that is very difficult thing to do, and students are often lacking in this aspect of literature review in their thesis and also in their papers. Again, another way of representing the process is you have the topic, then you research information relevant to that particular topic, only to find the selected articles, right? You maybe use some kind of reference software in which you will be cataloging or organizing your research. And again, I'll be teaching you a workshop on citation workshop. I'll have a citation workshop with you guys as well later in the course as well. So that's also important. So you need to know some kind of software which will organize your research papers. For example, when you download a research paper, they have a certain codes. You don't remember that. I don't know which paper is. You open the PDF and then say, oh, this is the paper's name. This is the author. This was it published. So you just start copying and renaming the PDFs. So that is very laborious and very hectic task. So for that, you need a software manager. You just just drag your PDF in the reference manager, and it will automatically fetch the title, the date, the year, the abstract, the common results, findings, anything. So I will go into that later in the course. Okay, then you need to work with your brain as well now. You have downloaded the articles. Now you need to synthesize it. Now you need to read it. Use your brain. Okay. Then you need to write it. And once you're writing, you might be unclear about something. Okay, I've written this. I'm not sure. Then you need to go back to the original articles, read again, and then revise. So it's a very, I would say, a loop or a very feedback. So many feedbacks are there that you need to go to and from certain areas just to write a very good paragraph. So that is continuous writing, revision, and ultimately you will come up with a very solid paragraph. Okay, so then types of literature review. How the question about student is that, sir, how much big should be a literature review? Okay, in journal article, when you are writing about journal article or your course assignment, you are assigned a very particular topic, a very concise objective. Like journal article is based on one objective, so we are very much focused on only one objective. You do so it is a very selective, very concise and to the point literature. But once you're doing you're writing a review article, that is the title for journal article, but it's a classification of a journal article that is a review article, or you're in a thesis. So there you need to be comprehensive. You need to explain in large paragraphs. Let's say you're summarizing one paper, you have read. In thesis, you need to write. I'll just suggest to students that maybe one paragraph, 10 to 15 sentences. Okay, that goes in your thesis. But when you're writing in your journal article, maybe only one sentence. So that defines that literature review has certain ways should be expanded and ways should be concise. So that is there. So
Sir, kindly
yes, Rizwan.
repeat.
What thing?
Last slide जो थी ये kindly repeat करें.
Okay, sure. So a literature review, depending upon the how should be it should be depth or breadth of a certain literature review. How much big should be my literature review? So in journal articles, you need to be very concise, and your thesis dissertation you need to be very comprehensive and explanatory. I was given example that I generally suggest my students that if you read a paper and you want to cite that paper in your thesis, you need to write one paragraph on one paper. Maybe 10 to 15 sentences. But when you are writing in journal article, maybe only one sentence is enough as a literature review. For example, I read 3 different papers. Okay, and these 3 papers are interrelated and they are doing research on the same topic. So in thesis I write Rana 2020, they said there was objective, this methodology they used, these were the findings, and they found out that this was this is good and we should do this and that. Another study, Wahi 2021, they did a study. Okay, this was objective, this was the methodology, these were the main findings. You gain the same process. Maybe in another paragraph, Rizwan did a study in 2021. Same object. These were the objective. These was the methodology. These were the main findings. So this was go 3 different paragraphs in your thesis goes. But when you are writing in a journal article, you say numerous authors have worked on this particular objective. In bracket, you put 3 references. So only one sentence, very concise, to the point. So journal article is very to the point and very concise, and dissertation is comprehensive. So clear is one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So any question, class? Any other question? So if no question, then I would like to take a break, and we'll continue in later. Thank you.